I'm Chuck Gilmore. Welcome to Power to Sing Live number 31. Is that right? I can't believe it. So today our topic is what's the difference between pulled chest and light chest voice? And so we're going to talk about the difference. And hey Ben, how you doing? Wow, other side of the world. Great to have you here. Hi, Jenna. So what's the difference between light chest and no chest? Because sometimes there's some confusing, light chest and pulled chest. And so there's some confusion with this sometimes. I want to talk about the difference, and then we'll just do a Q&A. And you can ask me more questions about this topic or anything else that comes up. So I'm going to try not to address any questions until after I have this discussion about pulled chest, high larynx, and turn it over then for question and answer. Okay, so periodically I get questions from subscribers and students about vocal type, and by far and away the most common vocal type is the pulled chest, high larynx vocal type. Now, I'm kind of separating pulled chest from high larynx for a minute here. So we want to talk about pulled chest. And what's the difference then between pulled chest and light chest? So let me just demonstrate the difference between those two. The let's talk about it in terms of vocal cords and the larynx. The vocal cords in pulled chest are usually very tight, and they're not dropping any of the weight of the cord structure, which basically just means that if the vocal cords are doing this, and in full chest voice, let's say, they keep doing that no matter how high you go. Now, what's got to happen is that we eventually have to start to eliminate some of the vibrating elements, some of the vibrating mass, and so it has to start getting maybe not quite as deep as you transition into your head voice. And so the light chest, so the pulled chest would sound something like this, and the vocal cords would stay thick and heavy. And that's where it cracks or breaks, anywhere along that line, in fact. And the pulled chest, you can hear it. Everything is a little squeezed. And you're pulling that weight of the bottom up higher and higher. There's a third element too, and that's the resonance, the vibration. You can hear that the vibration seems to be stuck, like the roof of my mouth. That's where it's very hard for the vocal cords not to come apart at that point. And so that's what often is done until you learn how to do this. And they go into falsetto. So that's the result of the vocal cords not making any adjustment at all, of the resonance not shifting up into the head but staying down in the mouth. The other element of this is the larynx starts to go up. Larynx. This is going up. Why does it go up? Well, that's the only way I could do it when I was young. I would have to stretch. So I would raise the larynx. And so it's a habit that we get into. We figure out that sometimes we can actually get up higher if we do that. But there's so much tension, so much strain. And truly the larynx, it's the top of the Adam's apple. You can feel that bump there, the little V. That's the top of the larynx. It's going into swallowing mode. If you swallow, you can feel that larynx go up. Now, what's the difference then between So that's all of the things that are happening when there's pulled chest. And yes, I've never met anybody that was pulling chest that didn't have a larynx going up. Okay, so the larynx is always rising in my hands, in my experience, when there's pulled chest. Now, what's the contrast then with the light chest? So with light chest, whereas you might be really getting into in a pulled chest, if you're really if the vocal cords are really fully engaged, they're also very tight. They're really pushing together harder as it goes higher and higher, typically. And it's one manifestation of that. With a light chest, it's very likely that they're not even fully coming together down here. So there's just like maybe they're not coming together adequately, and they're definitely coming together the vocal folds are coming together lightly. The cords are not adducting firmly. And so it manifests itself like this. Now, I'd also, and there's a lot of variations of that. So it's just a very, very light adduction. Very often, in order to correct this soon, I need to help the student get the vocal cords together. Ah, ah, ah. Ah, ah, ah. A. And so we might have an exercise to help bring the vocal cords together, something like na, 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 na. And we'll go down low into the region of chest voice, lower chest, to help bring those vocal cords together. Now, there's, so that's the condition of the vocal cords. The resonance, the vibration may be, it may be shifting up into their head. And so the resonance is shifting up into head voice, but it's so light that there's not even a bridge. You don't even feel the bridge. And sometimes that's the reason why singers go very light, is because they don't want to have to face that bridge area where that's been impossible for them to get through. So they go very, very light. Or they're imitating a singer they like or something like that. Now, what about the larynx? Here's where it gets a little bit challenging. So if you've submitted your vocal test, for example, and taken the quiz, on my website you can take a vocal test and you can either do the quiz and send that in, and the computer will look at your answers and give you, depending on how you've answered it, will give you your vocal type. And let's just suppose for a minute that you've answered the quiz and the computer checks all of the answers and it comes out light chest, no chest. But let's say that this is the way it sounded. What do you hear with the larynx? That wasn't like I demonstrated before. This is you can hear in that demonstration there's something else going on in addition to vocal cords, and that is the larynx is high. So now we have this problem. Is it light chest or is it high larynx? What do you think? If I were to hear that, and I frequently do on these vocal tests, I would say your vocal type is high larynx. So go to the Knowledge Center and watch the videos on pulled chest, high larynx. Well, the reason why I combine the high larynx with the pulled chest is because the exercises that I give help fix the problem with both pulled chest and with the high larynx. Now, I don't expect anyone to, I don't think you necessarily need to worry too much about this, but it's helpful to know that sometimes, even though it sounds as if the voice is light and breathy, you might think automatically, oh, well, I have a light chest voice. When the cause of what is being heard is that the larynx is high, and the larynx is helping prevent the vocal cords from coming together firmly. And with that larynx riding high, it's really hard to get the chord structure together. Have you ever tried to hit a low note and couldn't get it? The reason is because the larynx is up. Now I'm talking about a low note that you normally would have on a relaxed singing day. So that note right there is the low G, the G2, and it's very comfortable for me. I confess, I was doing some work last night on a song that I'm in the show 1776, and I sing a song called Cool, Cool, Considerate Men. And I'm playing the role of John Dickinson, and I'm also in the ensemble part of that song. I'm taking the bass notes, but Dickinson is singing a tenor line much of the time. After running through that a few times, when I got to the ensemble part, I was I couldn't quite get to it. Well, aside from the fact that I have a bit of a cold and I have a sore throat, I know the reason why was because I had my larynx up a little bit. So if that larynx starts to rise, it's really hard. The bottom starts washing out. So when the larynx is low and resting, it's easier to hit our bottom notes. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit off topic here, but the purpose of explaining that is that with the high larynx, you can also have the vocal cords being pulled apart and have a breathy, light chest sound, but the vocal type is not light chest. The vocal type is high larynx. So the difference then between pulled chest and light chest, again going back to that, is the vocal cords are coming firmly together in the one, lightly together with the light chest. And in the light chest, the larynx may be seated, it may be low or resting, but if the vocal cords are not coming together firmly, you're going to get that light chest sound, which is primarily caused by inadequate adduction or coming together of the vocal cords. So that's the difference between the two. The one is addressed by getting the cords firmly together. That's the light chest. The pulled chest and the high larynx are different exercises. They're going to help you be able to decrease the tension, eliminate the extrinsic muscle, and allow the vocal cords to make their adjustment so that you can get up into your head voice. Now, if I had a light chest, I was working with them, and it was then here's the other challenge with the light chest. Once you get your chords together, now how do you get through the bridge? So it's not uncommon that after coming from a light chest kind of production, coordination, and you start getting into a good chest voice, now the student starts to pull chest. And they've got to learn that second part, and that is how to get through the bridge. Okay, so a little kind of geeky today, maybe. Ben, you could appreciate that. Ben is a teacher in the Orient. I can't remember, Ben, where you live. I think it was, I want to say Hong Kong or Singapore, and I know that's not the same location, but you'll have to tell me. Okay, so let's address any questions that you guys might have today, either on this topic or on other topics that might be helpful. Again, I want to welcome you here and appreciate you checking in. And hi, Jenna. Haven't seen you for a while. Very nice to see you. And Agnieszka, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but from Poland. Awesome. That's cool. That's great. Mason, hello. Hi, Demi from Scotland. So cool. Oh, Ben may have gone to bed. Oh, Singapore. I don't know what time it is over there, but I know you're up late, Ben. Okay. Do you have questions for me? So my worthy assistant and wonderful wife is helping me with these questions today because I got so lost on them last time. And so we're going to, she's helped me identify some of the questions so that I don't repeat myself over and over again. This is from Altug. Are the dopey and the bratty sounds temporary sounds? Yes, they are temporary. Do we eventually want to get rid of the dopiness or brattiness in the exercises? That's a good clarification. I frequently, even with a more experienced singer, might use the dopey sound, and that's been done with my voice as well, or I might use the bratty sound in an exercise, and just to kind of help with, maybe get the larynx down. I mean, I've had students come in who are just like stressed from their day, right? And the larynx is just through the ceiling. So I'll do that dopey sound. We kind of get things settled down, have them do the bubble lips really hooty. The gee with a little bit of an imposition. Gee, 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 gee. Those are all very helpful in the exercises. But in the words of Seth Riggs, well, we don't talk that way. Why would we sing like that? So when we sing, we want to eliminate, we want to be in our natural voice. We don't have any imposition. We don't want to have any raised larynx. And so when they've served their purpose, then we want to discontinue them, especially in the songs. And if you don't need them in the exercises, we don't need to use them in the exercises. So they're very helpful to connect the voice, to connect through the bridge. When there's a break, or if the larynx is going up, or if the chest voice is being pulled, these exercises can help adding those sounds to the exercises can be very helpful. If you put your hand here on your Adam's apple and say nay, 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 na, 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 you can feel it go up, na, 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 nay, nay, nay. If you say duh, if you say duh, you can feel it drop, duh. And that's the idea. It's just one way of pulling the larynx down, one way of, the little bratty sound helps kind of thin the chord structure so you can get up high. You can go through the bridges without pulling the weight of the voice, but not going in the falsetto. So if I say nay, 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 that's connected. It's not falsetto. So it's deeper than falsetto, but it's not as heavy as chest. So they're helpful, but they're temporary. Mohammed, what is twang? There is a small ball under my chin, almost stressed all the time. Sometimes it goes soft even when I'm not talking or singing. Do you know what is happening? So Mohammed, I really don't know what is twang. Some people have asked me, what is twang? Now, for me, I hear twang sometimes in country western singers, and it's kind of I don't know how to describe it exactly. It's just some kind of affectation and a bit of their style. But I don't know if that's what people mean when they say twang. I'm sorry, I'm just not very, I don't have any background in twang. And I'm sorry, I don't have any idea what the small ball under your chin could be. I've never heard of that before, and I don't know why it changes, goes soft or, in its firmness. So I'm sorry, Mohammed, I can't answer that, and I have not experienced it in the last 9 years. It doesn't mean it's not out there, but I just don't know exactly what to say about that. Altug, my top notes in the octave repeat scales have some airiness. How do I overcome this? This is really common, and I think all of us go through this at first. There's not a lot of people who can just go through their bridge and into head voice and all of a sudden have this brilliant, firm, solid sound. It takes a while to develop strength and power in that. So if I said one of the ways to start building in some of this head voice is you can go to this bratty sound like this. Nay, 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 nay. Not too loud, not too hard. But then, once you get that down, add this. Nay, 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 nay. Nay, 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 nay. Now notice the na 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 is staying with the nay nay. Nay 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 na na. I didn't open it beyond the nay. It stays right in that same feeling. I call it like a slot. It stays in that same groove as the first one, the nay nay. Nay 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 nay. Nay 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 nay. Nay 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 nay. Now if I said nay 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 da da, that would be falling, the resonance falling down into my mouth. The vocal cords all of a sudden get thick and heavy, and it's basically essentially what I'm doing is pulling up my chest voice. So I want to keep that more open vowel na 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 in the more narrow nay 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 place. That's one way to start filling in and getting a more full or deeper, getting deeper into the vocal cords. When it's lighter or breathier, it's just the chord structure is not coming together firmly. And so that's going to help do that. That's a really fast way, a faster way of getting it. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen overnight, but. Mohammed also asks, I'll tell you your first question, the answer is yes, it's temporary until you have the strength and connected voice so you don't break through the bridge. Good. Okay. Is this another? Okay, so Jenna has a question. I can get strong, clear tone in my head voice now, but I do still have quite a bit of pharyngeal sound brattiness to my head voice tone. Are there exercises that can train that whine out of my tone? Jenna brings up a really great point, and this is why we want to try and get rid of it as soon as we can. And we don't want to have to rely on the bratty or a cry or whatever, is because then we have to get rid of that, right? Now that depends on your genre. Some genres, you need it. I think the rock and some of the heavy pop and certainly some of the gospel, R&B, I don't think you can do it without having access to that little bratty sound. However, generally speaking, we don't want to have to rely on it. So how do you get rid of it? Are there exercises that can train the whine out? The first exercise, Jenna, that I would recommend, because this exposes it right away, would be goo goo goo. So if you did the 5-tone ah and started on the middle C, goo 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 goo, and you did those up the scale to the C sharp, goo 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 Now, if you have any squeeze or any pharyngeal or cry in that, goo, 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 it's very apparent. It's got to be hooty. Goo, 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 goo. Now, the next step would be a different scale. Goo, 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 goo. Start at the C sharp. Come down through the bridge. Goo, 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 goo. Goo, 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 goo. Now, once you're not saying goo, 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 that's the larynx coming up, or there's some squeeze or some other whining or crying. Once you've got that goo, 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 where it's plenty of release, plenty of freedom, go on to add something to it. Try it. Gee, 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 gee. Or you could say goo, 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 gee, 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 gee. And then progress from there. Go to a more open vowel. So gee, goo and gee are rather narrow vowels, pretty heady. Let's start to introduce a more chesty vowel. You could say no, 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 no. Or I'm on the B flat in your first bridge, coming down to the A. No, 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 no. Now you get that down so that it's working. You don't want to, again, you don't want to say, no, 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 no. You don't want to do that, but no, 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 no. Then add, no, 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 no. And again, keep it in the same place as the n or as the nu was. Then you're not going to be pulling chest. If you feel like it's going to, if you start putting that whine or cry or too much breath in it, go back to the goo goo, clear it up. Goo 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 goo. So I'm getting a pretty solid tone there with goo goo goo. You could do it on no 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 no. And eventually you're going to get to it without relying on the extra squeeze coming from the cry or the whine sound. And I went through that. I didn't even know I was doing it. I just had a little extra squeeze on my voice for a long time. You have to forgive me. I really do have a sore throat today. I'm hoping to get over it. Gargled with salt water and baking soda and all that twice already. From John. Hi, John. How do you know when you're at the top of your range, as in that's as high as you can go safely? I don't know if you know. I don't know if you really know. I think it's shocking how high I can vocalize sometimes. But let me address versus if you're at the top of your range, or you need to work to expand it. Yeah, I would say that if you start to become aware of what the top is when you're able to sing very high without any tension. And if you can't sing much higher, even though there's no tension, sorry, then you kind of know you're at the top. So I'm not going to be able to do it much today because my voice situation, but well, here's the other point. Even though you can do it, you maybe shouldn't do it. So, and I'll just tell you a story. I mean, I worked on a song where there was a B flat, a high B flat, and I could do it. And so I did it. I did it for a bunch of teachers, and I think I did it for Seth Riggs and in a lesson, and a couple other teachers, and pretty much what someone said to me, which I think is great advice. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. What do you mean? Well, my particular voice, I have a lot of depth in it. And the B flat just wasn't as nice as the F sharp or the G. So just because now it's nice to know. It's nice to know that I've got that note. But it doesn't, and the reason why it's nice to know is because now the F sharp's not nearly as high. It doesn't scare me at all. Or the G, or the A flat, or the A. They don't scare me. But it doesn't necessarily mean that those are my very finest notes. Just a thought. Just because you can do it doesn't necessarily mean you should. But I would say the way you know whether or not it's you're at the top of your range is if you can sing it easily and freely, but then you just can't get that next note. So then you know it's not because you're squeezing or you're grabbing or gripping. It's just that, eventually your voice cuts out because of the way the vocal cords are built. That's a really interesting question, John. Thank you. This is from Patricia Patino. Hi, Patricia. I love your work. I am a professional opera singer, and your videos gave me invaluable help and tips for me and my students. Thank you. Bless. Well, thank you. That's so nice of you. So Muhammad said, maybe it's my external muscles, why they can be stressed, even when not talking, under my tongue. So I'm not really sure. Oh, that bump. Okay, yeah, maybe so. Muhammad, also, another question is it good to sing with a closed, soft palate? How to stop entering air into the nose and stop sounding nasal? Well, all the exercises that I give will allow the soft palate to function normally. You don't have to raise the palate or lower the palate or anything like that. The exercises that I give will position the palate appropriately. Whenever we say raise the palate, now I don't know exactly how to tell you to raise the palate. I can say it, raise the palate, like this. No, like this. Watch. That's part of the problem with the way singing has been taught. Or put the sound forward, or squeeze, anyway, there's any number of directions that people give that we really can't explain. I can't tell you what it feels like to you to raise the palate, but the exercises will cause the palate to be in the correct position in order to accomplish what the exercises are going to cause. So it's called cause and effect. You'll get the effect, and the exercises will cause it to happen. Now, that being said, let me get back to how do we stop the how do we stop the air from going in? So how do we stop from getting nasally? Well, a nasality is primarily the larynx coming up. The larynx is rising. A lot of times it's because the tongue is arching funny, pulls the larynx up. And so there's some kind of imbalance in the voice. So we want to be able to have a balance in the voice with the larynx low and resting, and that generally will take care of nasality. The tone has to go past the nose. We just don't want it to go into the nose. And a lot of times it is that tongue raising up, and you'll notice as you raise the tongue up, the larynx comes up also. Okay. Now, one other thing here. Let me see. Oh, so John, John Villanuevas wants the second part of that question. So you're saying you shouldn't go above the G3. Now, the G3 is the G below middle C. So the G4 is the G above middle C. And you're thinking that's what you should, that's the question, because all the guys, the bridge doesn't, for most of us, now Ben and I bridge, we're learning that we're bridging, we need to bridge a little earlier because both Ben and I are more of a basso kind of voice, because of the depth in our voices. But generally speaking, the guys are bridging at E, F, F sharp. And so, no, John, you want to sing, you want to be able to sing through that region into your voice. The problem is that if you are still young and you're singing, I used to think the E was the top of my voice. I wouldn't sing any higher because I couldn't. And so that was the top. And now, now I can sing the E5. Well, if I had to. Well, I never have had to, but I mean, I can vocalize there now. So that's a full octave higher than I could do before. So sometimes it's just too early to declare what the top is. But just because I can do that doesn't mean I should. Okay. This one. Why are vowels considered to be the holy grail of singing? Oh, great question. Well, yeah, I've said that, and that's because someone said that to me too. And maybe people have an issue with that. But generally speaking, the vowel has everything to do with the shape of the resonant space that where your sound is resonating, it's augmenting, and it's coming out. So the shape and the quality of the vowel will also affect where the resonance is going. So if I said, ah, well, that vowel, if I just adjust it slightly, narrower, I'm not in great voice today, but you can hear that just by going from ah, AH, to UH, it changes where the resonance is going to go. And so it allows me to bridge, or it prevents me from bridging. It allows the note to resonate in the appropriate cavity of the body, or not. So it's maybe I'm pulling up my chest there now, but just by adjusting the vowel, it changes where the resonance is going to shift into my body. And it's going to make a huge difference in the quality and the sound. So I think that's one reason. There's probably a lot of reasons behind. Yeah, I probably should. Okay. Yeah, Patricia, would you please talk and elaborate about support? You know what? I'm just going to say, to save time, go to the Knowledge Center on my website, and let me just quickly show you guys what to do there. If you'll go to the Knowledge Center on my website, and I'm going to show you right now, I'm going to show you how to get an answer to that question. So go to the Knowledge Center in the menu and click on that. And if you'll come down here to Knowledge Center categories and go to breath control, hit breath control, and it will bring up 5 tips on breathing, right? And you can find those. I would go to the older entries and look and start on episode number 15, how to sing, breathe with the diaphragm. I'd start with 15 and 16. So that's a quick answer to, but you can, I think both those videos are really great. And so Patricia, if you wouldn't mind, just in interest of time today, watch those 2 and then come back next week and maybe we can talk some more about breathing. Maybe that would be a good, I could follow up with that question. But I think you'll find a lot of answers with that. Okay, so, yeah, so Ahmed, I'm going to, Mohammed, sorry, I'm going to have to pass on the difference between supported notes and resonating notes. We'll just get to that later. And Demi, I'm having my tonsils removed and very worried about changes in my voice. I'm guessing from your picture that you're a little older than me. I mean, like in your teens, at least. Don't know how old you are, but do you have any exercise recommendations that may help after surgery? Well, I've had students who've had their tonsils out and there's no issues. Just give yourself time to heal. Don't push it. You've got, just let the healing process occur. Don't go back too soon. Just make sure that, when you start, everything's pain-free, and so you can sing in a relaxed, easy fashion. Don't push it really hard at first. And I think you're going to be relieved to find that there's no difference, except that you're going to have slightly more space to resonate, for resonance. And you'll get that. You'll get it pretty quick. It'll balance pretty naturally, and you'll be off to the races. So I don't think you need to worry about it. You're going to be in great shape. Okay, thank you very much, you guys. I really appreciate you being with me today. It's been a really fun session, some great questions. I appreciate your participation. So good to see everyone here, and I appreciate you joining me today. So if you haven't had a chance, if you haven't subscribed to Power to Sing on YouTube, please do. You can go to my website, which I showed you today, and sign up, and we'll notify you when new videos are coming out and so forth. And hopefully the information that you find with Power to Sing is going to be of great help to you as a singer. So I'm Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing. You can sing higher with beauty, confidence, and power. I'll see you inside the next video, live or in one of my other videos on Fridays. Thanks. Bye-bye.